might just see, fragments of colors. You might just see shapes. You might see faces that morph into shapes or vice versa. You may see your grandmother. You might see Jesus. You might see whatever, whomever. But they're coming to you with messages. They're coming to you for reasons.
I'm glad to welcome you again, CareyAnn Mulhern,
Thank
for
you.
A part two, because you had a lot to tell us and you have a lot more to tell us, so I want to hear about it.
Okay.
I'm sure the viewers do too.
Great.
I wonder if you could let us know what it's like to prepare for the psilocybin experience and the phases that happen in the experience, just to give us the groundwork in that.
Sure.
What kind of setting, usually for people that you would assist, does it vary?
So people, it's super duper important to be mindful about who you might be doing this with, where you will be doing this. People have experienced this just off the cuff in college or just one night with their friends, and they're like, oh my God, it was so bad. And I would be like, well, how much did you take? And like, I don't know, I just kind of ate a whole bunch of mushrooms. Okay, well, that's mistake number one. Things should be weighed out. I mean, it's a specific science as to how much you should take for where you want to go. Or what you want to do, your overall achieve your goal.
Right.
So when you do this, like my personal experience is I do it more on a spiritual aspect. So I've done it with shamans. I've done it with friends that are healers, or even just friends that are like, no, we're really going to work on something. We're really going to get down into this. We do sage. We do some prayers in advance. You're in a very, very vulnerable state with your spirituality. You're going under the influence of a psychedelic, and you need to make sure, I highly suggest, that you cleanse your spirit, that you cleanse your room, that you are in a really good headspace.
And you need to really, I guess, really want to be doing it.
Oh, yeah.
And if your intuition is telling you maybe this isn't the right thing for me, you would probably tell them not to.
Then don't do it.
Yeah.
Then don't do it, because
Right.
you are giving yourself up to whatever is going to make its way in. And it's coming in. It's going to happen. On a microdose, no, that's not happening. On the microdose, it's just we're feeling good. We're feeling happy. Our depression is being lightened. Our anxiety is being lightened. But you still have to do the work. When you do a larger journey, you're willing to accept whatever comes in. Typically, people that have never experienced it go in with much anxiety because they just don't know. And then after you kind of understand it, to prep the medicine, you could take it a few different ways. Again, it's a mushroom. And typically you would not eat any kind of dairy or red meat 24 hours before your experience.
Okay.
You want to make sure that you have a pretty much of an empty stomach. You don't want things sitting in your digestive tract that will let the mushroom not get to the digestive stage quickly. So what we have done is you could also do like pre-digestive state, which is you're breaking down the psilocybin to the psilocybin, which is with lemon juice. So it's called lemon tech, TEK. There's a method where you would grind down your mushroom. So you get a coffee grinder and grind it down however much.
So it's a dried mushroom.
It's a dry, you can do wet, but the weights are different because you have to account for the moisture that's in the mushroom.
Right.
But yes, it's dried.
Is there a difference in effect between the raw and the dry?
I've not heard of different in effect. I've not had a wet mushroom with this. I've always just gone dry. So I would think not. However, we're digesting it in your system, so depending on how your digestive tract is, it could create the queasiness. The queasiness is actually the psilocybin that's being digested into the psilocybin, and the psilocybin is what?
What causes the effect?
Exactly.
Okay.
So the lemon juice, the acid of the lemon juice is getting it going for you. So you wait about 10-15 minutes for that to take into effect. Pour some hot water into that, so you kind of make a tea, and you could put some honey in that as well.
Okay.
And then you sip that back and you drink that. And then once it gets into your system, it typically takes about 20 minutes to take effect. And then once you're in, you're in.
You're in.
You are in, and you gotta just let it happen. The anxiety, sometimes it comes in when it's starting to build, because you can kind of feel it. Your body gets a little tingly. You might feel a little heat. You're definitely going to be like, all right, lights are definitely brighter. Sounds are definitely louder. You can feel the music. Like if you have some really amazing drum music going, like you can actually feel everything inside of you. Just the beat of the drum is just echoing inside of you. And then, you can go walk in nature if you want to, or you could just put a blindfold on and just be. I prefer to be, and just close my eyes and just let it happen. Let it be. And you may not get anything from it. You might just see, fragments of colors. You might just see shapes. You might see faces that morph into shapes, or vice versa. You may see your grandmother. You might see Jesus. You might see whomever. But they're coming to you with messages. They're coming to you for reasons. And it's like, oh, okay. So like that blipped in, and then my grandmother came in. So it's like, all right, I got to put that. Does that associate? Is there something here that I'm supposed to be getting from this?
Right. And I know in clinical trials, what I've read is they use a synthetic psilocybin.
They do.
And how is that different from the natural one?
Well, I mean, synthetic is lab made. And I want viewers to be aware that there's a lot of stuff out there online now. Please be careful. There's a lot of stuff that is lab made that companies are selling that really can affect the user, whoever's buying it, in a bad way. Because we don't really know what lab this was made in. We don't really know where it came from. I mean, if you're going to Johns Hopkins or you're going to Yale and they're doing it, it's a synthetically made psilocybin. It's going to have similar, if not like-minded, components of what the actual plant is.
I guess they do it because they want to control the quantity exactly.
They want to be able to be exact and control it, and yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I don't know what the uptake is. You may not get queasiness. I'm not really sure.
Have you experienced this while being in a group, in a community of people, like-minded people?
Well, I have personally taken it with some of my friends that are in their own way. They're healers. I work with a craniosacral healer. I have worked with someone who also, she clears houses and so on. So we're all kind of spiritually connected in one way or another. So with that, I kind of feel like even my journeys have kind of gone up a level, only because of being with people of that magnitude.
Well, community is really important.
Community is really, really important. But what is really happening on a really beautiful scale is that people are looking at alcohol and partying in a different aspect. I think they're kind of now understanding the real negative effects that alcohol has on your body. It sits in your liver, it goes in your kidney, it goes into all these places, and we die from it. We don't die from psilocybin journeys. There's a very, very small, just like you would see like with an ayahuasca person who's consumed ayahuasca. They have a pre-existing condition. There's already something that they have that unfortunately didn't work well with that. Like if you have any kind of schizophrenia or a bipolar disorder, I would definitely advise that person to stay away from large dosing. I think microdosing can definitely benefit you, but on a larger scale, definitely be under a clinician or a place that will really monitor you and do a little bit more of learning more about you and who you are before ingesting this. because it could really affect you, because you can go into psychosis. The same thing with cannabis. Cannabis,
I've
now
heard
the
that.
THC is super high. Back in my day when we were getting a dime bag, it was like 15 to 20% THC. Now you can go into a dispensary and it's over 30%, which is way too high. You could also go into like a smoke shop. They're on every single corner, and you could buy illegal cannabis. It's being sold illegally, and a lot of the stuff has been sprayed with THC, and it's not real THC. It's a lab grade made, and it's not good for you. So we have to be careful where we're getting it from, and also if you have a pre-existing condition, to really take that seriously.
And of course, fentanyl has gotten into things also. So
I don't want anyone going anywhere that sells cigarettes and newspaper and weed. It's just not happening.
right.
Please don't do that.
I
Please
wonder
don't do
about
that.
the people in Guatemala and Mexico where this is has been practiced for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Maybe thousands of years.
Oh, long time.
And of course, there was a time when they were not ingesting this.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time when this was new to them, and they were drawn to it, and they've developed social protocols around psilocybin.
Yeah. We respect it. It's a medicine. It is a respected plant medicine that elders of our tribes, of our tribal groups, that's, finding my personal tribe of people that understand these things, like the like-minded tribes in Guatemala and or whatever, in whatever tribe. They looked at this. You have problems, we go to the plant medicine. That's why they got the tribal doctor title.
Yeah.
They learned from their ancestors, and they also learned from taking the medicine themselves what the medicine can offer. Plant medicine's not for everybody, but for people who are, it was just, for me, it was my next step. It was just my next way of doing it.
I spoke to a psychiatric nurse today as part of my research into this interview,
Mm-hmm.
and he told me that they had someone come into their unit who was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and he was a very bad case, very
Mm-hmm.
difficult, and he had never had any kind of psychiatric problem before that. He was so-called normal,
Mm-hmm.
and he took a high dose of psilocybin, and ended up becoming schizophrenic.
Yeah.
And you would say he was a bad candidate, but sometimes you don't know that ahead of time.
You don't know that.
You don't know it, and it can happen. And even with cannabis, it's happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a little bit of a. For most people, it's not a risk. There's a small minority of people, but it has happened.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you have a pretty good sense of who to do this with if someone asks you for assistance?
I do. I mean, it's like, what are your intentions? Like, really, seriously, what are your intentions? If it's one of your, like, it's my absolutely last result, if this doesn't work, I don't know what else is going to work. I don't know if I want that responsibility.
Right, and I could see
because
that.
it's like, I don't want this to fail when you're coming with such high hopes and expectations, and we can't do that. You just have to come willing and knowing that this is another option, but you have to do the work. You have to come prepared for it. You have to come knowing that this might not be it. It might be just a piece of your puzzle. It's just, for me, it was the next thing. Again, it was alcohol. I'm done with pharmaceuticals. I'm done with going to the doctors in that respect. Cannabis helped me. The next plant medicine was, I'm interested in this. And honestly, because of the way that my sobriety happened, if I get anything that says, okay, Cara, now I want you to research X, Y, and Z, I'm going to do it, because I really feel that this is my purpose. I really feel that this is just part of who I am, is to tell people about my story and to tell them that I attempted suicide. I've had really dark places of my life where I never thought I was going to get out of them. I'm not saying I'm perfect. We all have bad days, but I'm not going down that I don't want to be here anymore rabbit hole. I kind of feel as if I've got way too much to talk about. I've got too many people to help, and I've got too many people to share this with.
You have a mission.
Yeah.
You have a purpose.
I have a purpose.
And that's why one of your companies is named Root
It's called Root Purpose. And it was just one of those things because I was always looking like, well, what's my purpose? Why? Why am I here? Why did I go through all of that? Why did I go through everything that I went through? And it's because I want to share my story. And there's so much to our stories, and there's so much to where we come from. And it's like, I want to be able to now share that and help other people.
So you would say, I guess, there are people, and probably people who are maybe listening to this interview, who are at a place where they really are in a place of desperation, and people reach that place where it could be almost a suicidal situation.
Sometimes it's a life or death situation. It really is. It really is.
And they want to try this because they've heard that it's changed people's lives, where there's been terrible anxiety or terrible depression, and that's gone away again. I guess for them, the answer would be to find a clinical trial where they could be. Where they could do that, because if you're at that ledge, if you're there, again, like, because if this doesn't work, I don't want people to give up hope. This is another option, and this is something that is a natural plant-based option. The only thing is that if you are currently on an SSRI. Psilocybin doesn't have the fullest effect because you already have a pharmaceutical that's pushing down what the mushroom is wanting to do. Yeah, that makes sense, because the researchers are always saying you can't be in these programs if you're on an SSRI.
You got to be either one or the other. But I would suggest, and I would suggest to people, if you're on an SSRI, microdose. Start to build up your confidence in yourself that you can get off of your SSRI. And that will take time. So while you're doing the work to get off of the SSRI, you're now including the mushroom, which will hopefully just bring you up to that happy level.
You know, I've never heard this before, and I've listened to a few videos about this where people could be on an SSRI and microdose on psilocybin.
I would suggest it.
Okay.
I would suggest it because what you're wanting to do, but you have to have a goal, and you have to you can't just say, I'm going to stay on the SSRI and also take the microdose because it's all working. I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's great. My goal would be to get you off of the SSRI.
Right.
And to face life as is. To face the life and to be able to process that and what's happening in your life in a way that won't set you back, but will make you even stronger.
I can't judge anyone else. I could understand very much getting off SSRIs.
Yeah.
But there are people, I guess, who don't want to get off SSRIs.
There are people who don't want to get off, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is your journey.
Right.
This is your personal journey. Knowing what I know, and knowing my past and what I've done and what I've done to get to where I am, I wouldn't want to be tied down to an SSRI.
Right. Well,
that's
thinking,
my personal.
Yeah, and I can understand that.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the physical effects of psilocybin, because I've heard it helps the body to heal, and that it's an anti-inflammatory. Do you know how that is?
There's just these magical things. Same thing with cannabis. They have different strains that have anti-inflammatory effects. It is the terpenes that are in there, and we also have the system, the cannabinoid, the human cannabinoid system, endocannabinoid. There we go. And so homeostasis is what we're looking for with that. And the same thing with psilocybin. It just has those natural effects. I can't explain it.
I think it's pretty amazing that psilocybin looks a lot like serotonin, the molecule.
Yes, it is.
And that we have cannabinoid receptors. I know you're not a molecular biologist, terpenes, but why do we have cannabinoid receptors? Why is that?
They're in our system so terpenes the
And
terpenes.
which are common in plants.
They come in plants, they
Yeah.
come in fruit, they come in flowers. Those things affect us. Like any lemon, it's citrusy, it's invigorating. That's where you would find in a sativa, in a sativa plant of cannabis, which is more of an elevated effect rather than the indica, which are the ones that would bring you down or calm you down. Psilocybin is an amplifier. So if you're already a hyper fun person, it's just going to bring you even more hyper and fun. And I think what I was starting to say is that people are looking at alcohol in a way of like they really don't want to ingest that. And what they're doing at house parties and get-togethers and even at weddings, I've heard, is that they will offer a psilocybin microdosed chocolate to their guests if they wanted to have a little bit. And again, the microdose, you're not going to feel it. Things are not going to be, oh my goodness, I don't know what's going on. You're just going to feel a little happier. It's just a serotonin release in your system.
It's making me think that when you look back on the decades past, where we were really an alcohol society,
Terrible.
and of course we still are, but
Yeah.
we're transitioning now to other things. It's going to change the kind of the psyche of the nation,
Yeah.
maybe of the world.
I'm really excited about that because it's our youth. It's our 20-year-olds now. I don't know the generation label that they're giving them, but they're really looking at it as like, you know what? I saw the harm it did to my parents, or I saw the harm that it's done to other people, and I really don't want to do it because now we're talking about it. We're talking about all of these issues. We know that alcohol affects our organs, everything. It affects our brain. It affects everything. It is a depression. It's a depressant. It makes you more depressed. So, if you're taking the Prozac like I was and still drinking like a buffoon, I'm getting more and more and more depressed in my own mind.
I guess it's dampening a lot of thoughts and feelings.
Absolutely. It's numbing us.
It's numbing.
It's numbing.
Yeah.
Where we're not feeling. And I think I got to the point of like, how much more numbing can I do? And now it's like, no, let's just face it. Let's move past this. And I know as an adult and as I am with my relationship with my children, I have 2 grown children, that they see their mom in a different respect, in a different way, where, neither one of them wants to drink. They're like, I'll have a beer and that's it. Their dad also was an alcoholic, and we were not alcoholics together. He was an alcoholic before I met him, and I became an alcoholic afterwards. So it was like they never had alcoholic parents. They had an alcoholic parent, but now they have a complete different view of alcohol. And it's like, no, I'm going to have 2 beers and that's it. I'm not going there. And I love that. I'm so excited that they see that. And they'd rather have, smoke a joint with me or have a microdose rather than just drinking it away.
So do you think that this experience has made you more accepting and tolerant of people who are different from you? Do you
Totally.
think that's an effect?
Totally.
Because we're so polarized now.
We are. And, I feel badly for people who suffer addiction. I really do. And our country has made it very easy. Our society, whatever, has made it very easy to become an addict of something. Whether it's gambling, whether it's sex, whether it's drinking, whether it's drugs, whether it's whatever that it is.
Well, this brings up something that I thought you were going to say, but you said something else, and I'll tell you what it is. I thought you were going to tell me that the psilocybin helped you stop the addiction to alcohol. But one day you woke up knowing. I'm wondering
I had
about,
to stop.
So I'm wondering about people who are addicted to alcohol. Does psilocybin? I've heard that it helps addiction.
Yeah, it does. It helps addiction. It helps depression. It helps because it's a serotonin release. It makes you feel good. It's a natural upper, if I could say it, upper. It fills those voids, but it's not filling the void in the way that you're stuck on a bar stool and leaving 6 hours later and possibly getting into an accident and killing yourself or somebody else.
And making bad choices.
And making really, 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 really bad choices. It's,
Yeah.
and thankfully I've been very blessed with that, yeah, I made a lot of bad choices. I made a lot of bad decisions, but I'm really grateful to be able to sit here today and talk about how I've been able to fix it. It just takes work. It's not just you take one and you're done. You have to be willing to face it, confront it, and know that today will be better.
The thing about societies is that when things go a little off the rails, for whatever reason, there are wars, there's displacement, many things happen, or maybe it can be prosperity, affluence that actually helps bring people off the rails, because that too stops them from striving.
Yeah.
Um, and so parents have issues, the kids have issues, and a lot of times these issues become worse down the generations
Yeah, it
as
does.
more things develop.
If you don't fix it,
If you don't fix it, it gets worse. And so we human beings are growing up in a world which is fractured, was fractured for the older generation,
Yeah.
is fractured for us.
yeah,
And that contributes to the state we're in as a society and as individuals. So the need for intervention and maybe help from psilocybin or whatever it is, non-drug help, whatever it is, it becomes necessary because things are out of balance.
yeah. Things are definitely out of balance, and and it's like being able to cope with it and deal with it. It's like we want to just numb ourselves from it, and numbing isn't always the way, because you may numb today, but it's still going to be there tomorrow, and that's where we get in that rut of constant. Again, it's your routine. If you don't change that routine, if you don't change your thinking, if you don't change your friends, if you don't change it, it won't change.
So I think
And that's why like-minded people are really, like, again, like I said, I'm looking for my tribe. I'm looking for those people who can commune and get together and help each other and build each other up, and just use our past to help somebody else with their future.
and use other people's honesty
Absolutely.
in helping you and helping me get to the next point.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have that.
No, we don't. We really don't.
I mean, there's a loneliness epidemic in the country.
Huge. I mean, I'm alone 95% of the time. I'm alone. But I do know that there are people that I could call that would be there in a second.
And that's so important, because there are people who have no one to call.
No one to call.
So people who are in that situation and are suffering depression,
Yeah.
because it's an unnatural situation.
unnatural situation.
So I wonder if the next step is the next step taking a substance? Maybe not.
Maybe not. And a lot of times we go to the doctor because we don't know what else to do, and they just automatically say, here, take this, you'll feel better.
Without looking at the context.
Without looking at the context, and why are you feeling this way? Why
Yeah.
are you feeling this way? And fixing the broken pieces.
Well, as before, there's a lot more to
Yeah.
talk about.
Yeah.
And when speaking with you, CareyAnn, the time just goes.
It goes very quickly.
Very quickly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
I really appreciate
Fantastic
it.
guest.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.